them know that we are the American Indians. Copper color Indians, baby. A real Indian, American Indian is me, not from Africa. Remember that.
White people are scared to death right now, particularly white males. They're scared to death that they are going to lose their power in the future. And they are. But if you want to get ready for the future, if you want to be treated well in the future, treat others well in the present. Victor Hugo said, "No force on earth can stop an idea whose time has come." The idea of one race, the human race, is an idea whose time has come. We are not going to be able to stop it no matter what they do. They can elect Trump after Trump after Trump, and that will not stop the idea that there's only one race on the face of the earth. It's the human race, and we are all members of it. You and I are cousins. Now, if you don't like being my cousin, that's too bad for you. But we are all in the same family. We are members of the family of man.
You say that all whites are racist. Can you expound on that?
Any white person who was born, raised, and schooled in the United States of America, if you aren't a racist, you're a miracle. Either that or you decided to educate yourself. Because education in this country is about white is right, brown's all right, black's got to stand back. Yellow's mellow, but whites, we educate in a way that says that white males have done all the adventures, have made all the adventures, have done all the discovering, have made everything that is good and has been accomplished has been
African Americans here, but they recently moved here from places like Kenya, Ethiopia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Zaire. But now the brother whose family's lived in this country for generations, occupying space in all the locations, New York, Miami, LA, Detroit, Chicago, even if he's wearing a dashiki and sporting an afro. And if you go to Africa in search of your race, you'll find out quick, you're not an African American. You're just a black American in Africa taking up space. Why you keep trying to attach yourself to a continent where even if you got the chance to go and you went, most people that wouldn't even claim you as one of them, as a purebred daughter or son of them. Your heritage.
And we are not Africans. We are not African. Are you an African, baby? I'm not no African. Nigga, you a lying motherfucker. Nigga talking about we African. You African, nigga. I ain't African.
Time's been moving slowly, so we already in too deep. Can't get no sleep on each other, carry teasing all day, and when the sun sets, you asking me to come through, kick it with you. Night turn to morning dew, then you feel it freshen and lose control. You don't wanna go slow, for sure. We both already know your place is my place now. My place is your place, let's face it. Baby, you know all the places. My place is your place. My place. Your place is my place. Just face it. No one knows my places like you do. Your places like I do. My place like you do. Baby, don't stop. Got the key to the lock. We in our own zone. Make yourself at home. Get to know mine on the inside. Can meet at yours next time. And you feel it freshen. Lose control. You don't wanna go slow, for sure. We both already know your place is my place now. My place is your place, let's face it. Baby, you know all the places.
Salute, everybody. Salute. How's everybody doing? All right now. The Pan Boo-Boos got me so mad. I said, oh, they just send me back to the goddamn to the old files. Those stashed away files with dust on it. And we gonna get them. Because we're at war. We are officially, we've been at war. But a lot of those Pan Boo-Boos are waking up and they're seeding. They're seeding. They ain't gonna have no choice because there's too many of us pushing this truth and wiping out the doctrine that they're paid to keep going. They're gonna give because the real ones is woke. We still here. We ain't going nowhere. We never left our land. See, that's how you know who the hell we are. We never left our land. Facts. Never left our land. We're still here. We're still here. Because if we was freed, in the sense that they're saying, how come we haven't picked up, left with our belongings and went on back to Africa? Something wrong right there, huh? It wasn't not like the movie Roots. Kuta Kinte was trying to run to get back to Africa. At least that was the movie was saying. And one gentleman in the audience said, well, damn, where was he running to? Did he really know where he was going? Perhaps he was already home. How about that? Because where you gonna run to? I mean, do he remember where the boat was that brought him here? Do he know where the docking station to the boat was that's gonna take him back to Africa? That's some funny shit. Perhaps he was running. Maybe he was running from where was he? In Virginia? Where the hell was Kuta Kinte at? I don't even know what state they was in when they came. Maybe he was in Mississippi. I don't know. Maybe he was in South Carolina. And he was running because he probably knew how to run and get back to North Carolina. Because I don't know where I really would like to know where Kuta Kinte kept running. He must have knew where the hell he was going because he risked getting his foot chopped off. He just couldn't get there. And then they try to make it seem like he ain't know about grits. Stop. He was tearing them grits up because he knew what that shit was. He was tearing them damn grits up in that bowl. They need to stop the madness. He probably was running to Florida like all the other Seminoles. Maybe that's what it was. A hot mess. But y'all, we're going to really get it in today. I have slides up the yang. So I know tomorrow I'm not going to have no voice because I got a lot of reading. I got to keep teaching and I got to keep leaving my channel full of movies, visual movies, lectures, so our people can watch them and understand them and get it. Honor Mama Chief, honor Yanita Yah, T Tribes, Gwen Freedmen. She a Freedman. Oh, Phyllis Brown, George Richard. Let's see who else we got up in here. And everybody watching, y'all, please smash the like button and share. I play my intro long like that to get enough people up in here so I don't have to repeat myself. We're going to watch one video, okay? Because when you watch the video, I want you to listen to what this Aboriginal is saying, what happened to their tribe. Literally, the same time it happened to all the tribes. It'll be more about the punishment of the North compared to the punishment of the South towards the Aboriginals, aka American Indians of these here 50 states. And when he tells a story of what happened and the ramifications, it's the same thing that happened to you. The same exact thing that happened to them in the North as Indians happened to you. Well, that's going to be a little bit later in the show. I want to get into the slides now because it's a lot of slides. And then we're going to look at all them damn full bloods. Damn, what am I doing here? I don't even know what I'm doing. All right. So let's get into the slides. Hey, Karen Wolf. Let's get into the slides right now because I got them up. I made sure I put everything up so that I wouldn't be going crazy. Boom. Look at that. They're all in order from the beginning. So, history of the freedmen. Understand that the freedmen are prisoners of war. They are not Africans. They are prisoners of war. If they was Africans, they would have been identified as Africans back in that time. Seriously. If they were Africans, they would have been identified as Africans during that time. I don't need nobody picking on me today about my smokes because I'm going to smoke when I want to. So I'll go through these slides with my camera off and then I'll turn it back on. So here we go. Now, let's just do some basic things. Go through over some basic things really quickly. Aboriginal, first original primitive Aboriginal people are the first inhabitants of a country. Aboriginal tribes of America. We have thousands of tribes across these Americas. Aboriginal, an original privileged inhabitant. The first settlers in the country are called the Aboriginals, as the Celts in Europe and Indians in America. All right, and here we are. If Chief Powhatan and the emblem of America are Negroes, that says a lot. This is published in London on February 1st, 1801. The emblem of America. And that's Chief Powhatan. Seriously. Negro. Facts. There is nothing about that body like a little Chinese guy, a little Asian guy. That is Negro all day with the gold dookie chains. But come on, look at this look at this headdress. This shit is hot. It looks nothing like the Mongolian ones that Lex Luthor, Lex Vortex, and I wore in the when I was down in South Carolina protesting. I wore it because I wanted to let the fake $5 people know that, hey, we still here. We woke now. We ain't sleep no more. We were put in a deep sleep like Adam. Truly we were. All right. So now you see who the originals are of the North American landmass. In order to claim dibs on this land, you had to sleep with him or her. We do have that clear understanding, right? Because that's who the chief was. He's not the chief of Africa. He's chief of the Powhatan in Virginia. All right. I'm not going to play with people. The chiefs, unfortunately, removed their garments and adopted mainstream white society cultures, like the praying Indians all over. They did. Okay. As time went on, but that Civil War, this is what it did. did just this. That's when all the chaos came. The government, and I'm going quickly over these because we went over them already, but I just want to reiterate them. The government replaced the Aboriginals of the Americas via eugenics, which is the study of how to arrange reproduction within a human population to increase the occurrence of heritable characteristics regarded as desirable. So, as you can see, over on the left, the Aborigines, Pookie and Ray Ray, were not desirable. They were not regarded as desirable to the American government. But what we can do is establish the eugenics. And successfully they were. You get the first one, the mulatto, on the right, who still has his strong Negro features. And then, okay, for $5 or whatever, I don't care. Maybe he's 164th or 116th. But now they are regarded as desirable to work with this government because they don't look like those two Negroes on the left, those two Aborigines. See, the Aborigine and the Negro is the same person. The Aborigine was who they saw when they got off Plymouth Rock. That's who they saw. Hello. And this is who they shot down, put to sleep, changed everything, shot them down so bad, and started calling them African Americans in 1988. Thanks, Jesse Jackson. But you weren't my representative. I'm from Connecticut, bro, in 88. You wasn't representing me. So you probably was lying to the people in Illinois too. But y'all need to check his ass. And so now that we have the Indians on the right regarded as desirable, they came back and established their big ass casino. What was slavery yesterday and what is slavery today? Bondage, the state of entire subjection of one person to the will of another. Slavery is the obligation to labor for the benefit of the master without the contract of consent of the servant. Slavery may proceed from crimes. Yep, because that's when you go to jail. Or any crime or whatever legislative law deems a crime a crime. Could have fucking fooled me because illegal aliens, isn't that a crime? Whatever, okay. I'm just going to let that sit right there. Illegal aliens. Okay? If you're an illegal alien, how come you're not being enslaved in prison? I'm confused. From captivity or from debt. Slavery is also voluntary or involuntary. Voluntary, when a person sells or yields his own person to the absolute command of another. I ain't never did that shit. Involuntary, when he is placed under the absolute power of another without his own consent. Well, I guess I do voluntary. I do it now. Yep. Voluntary, when a person sells or yields his own person to the absolute command of another. I don't know. It ain't even like that. Okay. And so they say slavery no longer exists in Great Britain, nor in the northern states of America. Well, they don't. Not in the northern states. Yes, the fuck they do. That's a lie. Continuing on, a person who is, and this is the etymology, a person who is wholly subject to the will of another. No, one who has no will of his own, but whose person and services are wholly under the control of another. In the early state of the world, and to this day, among some barbarous nations, prisoners of war are considered and treated as slaves. The freedmen were prisoners of war. Facts. Their land was taken from them and they were subjected to slavery. Prisoners of war. That's why they're freed. What are they freed from? Well, they were prisoners of war. They were formerly in power, and their tribes were ramshacked and taken over by foreign government. The slaves of modern times are more generally purchased like horses and oxen. One who has lost power of resistance. Okay. So in the South and the Civil War, when the North was fighting with the South, and those Confederate folks in the South that were resistant, they were enslaved. One who has lost the power of resistance. They resisted. That's why they became freedmen. There's a reason for freedmen. It's still like when you say Cherokee freedman, that's still a Cherokee. It's one of the free ones, one of the ones that lost the power of resistance, or one who surrenders himself to any power, whatever, as a slave to passion, to lust, to ambition. Certainly not that. Well, in some instances, yes. And a slave could be a mean person, one in the lowest state of mind. When you're in a low state of mind, your mind can be enslaved. And to think yourself lowly as being an African that was kidnapped from Africa and brought over here by a few white guys, okay, with not that much ammunition on the goddamn boat, and all these big Negroes that look like Bumpy Johnson. Come on. That's a fake story. Okay. And these pan boo boos continue to implant that story and subject you to that story in your head. It's a lie. You know who Bumpy is. You know who his boy is, Frank Lucas. Not happening. You're not getting them two dudes from Africa and bringing them over here. Over. So, what type of economy did the southern states have? Now, this is what we really have to understand. The political system that we had in the South. It was our culture, it was the way we lived, and it's not all of what they tell you that it is. I mean, they vilifies it. Now, did we have some ugliness going on in the South? Yes. But guess what? That ugliness was happening on both sides, white and black folk. Because we had white slaves and black slaves. And that's a fact. And we had Negro slave owners. They were the slaves of their households. They married their slaves. All it is a title. Slave owner. That's a title. It's the same. It equals the same thing as head of household on the damn census sheet. So understand it for what it is and not the stupid ass story that the pan boo boos continue to. We gonna get over them because they losing this war because we have too many primary sources, and I was just like so fucking laughed out. And I really had to leave Lex panel because I knew that I wasn't going to have the power to do what I could do on my own damn channel. And especially for the fact that the nigga only be having like 13 people watching him. And when I left and came to my channel, he had 12. Get your damn laugh on. The Confederate States of America, 1861 to 1865, started with an agrarian based economy that relied heavily on slave work plantations for the production of cotton for export to Europe and to the northern U.S. Agrarianism and social and political philosophy perspective that stresses the primacy of family farming, widespread property ownership, and political decentralization. Agrarian ideas are typically justified in terms of how they serve to cultivate moral character and to develop a full and responsible person. All right? You really need to listen to this. This was the economy of the southern states. It was our shit. Some loved it, some didn't, some got tired of the shit. Agrarianism and social and political philosophy perspective that stresses the primacy of family farming. That's what we were. When you look on the census sheet, we were farmers for the most part. Widespread property ownership and political decentralization. Agrarian ideas are typically justified in terms of how they serve to cultivate moral character and to develop a full and responsible person. Many proponents of agrarianism revere nature, whether understood as natural phenomenon or as God's creation. Respect tradition and experience, distrust ideology, and regard science and technology with skepticism. Proponents of the agrarianism believe that when individuals attach themselves to farming and a rural way of life, the required labor enhances their existence. Family and local are rooted, allowing stable associations to develop that enable people to experience in a non acquisitive way the goods of a grounded community, including leisure, friendship, love, art, and religion. So, understand this. Here's some primary source clippings that I was able to take out, and you probably heard these already. We were slave owners in the South, and that's a fact. Slaves of the Negroes were, in some cases, the children of a free father who had purchased his wife. If he did not thereafter emancipate the mother, as so many such husbands could not do without becoming separated from them. Own children were born his slaves and were thus reported by the enumerators. Some of these husbands were not anxious to liberate their wives immediately. They considered it advisable to put them on probation for a few years. And if they did not find them satisfactory, they would sell their wives as other slaveholders disposed of Negroes. Facts, y'all. Now, listen, I want you to pay attention to this and tell me if this is something that you could subject yourself to, a lifestyle like this. I guess if that's all you ever knew, then it didn't bother you. If you something you were accustomed to, but with the sisters today, man, woo, I can't imagine they lived on them motherfucking terms. For example, a Negro shoemaker in Charleston, South Carolina, them goddamn South Kakalakis, purchased his wife for $700. But on finding her hard to please, she wanted her nails done, her wig, her weed. He sold her for a few months thereafter for $750, gaining $50 by the transaction. So he got a little profit. See, told you niggas know how to move shit, move packages, always gaining that profit. They hustlers. Got to double up. They didn't have, I guess they didn't sell weed back then, so they used what they had. They profited off their wives. That's some bullshit, yo. But that's all right, because we did the same thing. We bought husbands. Benevolent Negroes often purchase slaves, to make their lot easier by granting them their freedom for a nominal sum or by permitting them to work it out on liberal terms. John Berry Metcham, a Negro Baptist minister of St. Louis, came into possession of as many as 20 slaves by 1836. The exploitation type of Negro slaveholder, moreover, sometimes feeling the sting of conscience, liberated his slaves. Thus did Samuel Gibson, a Negro of Mississippi in 1844, when he brought his 6 slaves to Cincinnati, Ohio, and settled them on free territory. Okay, so we were slave owners. Pookie and Ray was doing some shit. And there came a time, where Negroes' industrial future to be discussed. This was during the time of the Reconstruction Act and shit. And after the Civil War, at the time of the 15th annual meeting of the National Urban League here, February 3rd to the 5th, an important conference will be held, which will mean much in the future programs of industrial and community welfare for the Negro. This is when we was getting them into wanting to come to the North and start to have industrialization. Instead of that, agrarianism, farmer land. Representatives from at least 50 urban communities will attend this conference and confer on such subjects as health and housing. Up here we go, y'all. In New York to the city hoods. Recreation and training of workers and industry. White and colored students of the problem of race contacts will confer on methods by which friction may be avoided and better and more lasting fellowship between the various racial elements in America may be promoted. Smash that like button, y'all. And this is Dr. Bowens and Virginia called Negro Artisans. Norfolk, Dr. Jarvis Bowens, long since an expert in the Negro social welfare of Virginia, and at present the director of colored activities in a gigantic factory and millwork project in Nansemond County, Virginia, has issued the call for 2,000 industrious colored families, the heads of which are skilled as millwrights, electricians, machinists, plumbers, steam fitters, and skilled mechanics, to locate permanently in Nansemond, where employment at good wages and pleasant home surroundings await them. This giant project represents the money and the confidence of promoters who believe that American Negro labor is as good as any that can be found. It is the call of opportunity for Negro artisans who are prepared to make good in an industrial project of great promise. There it is. Leave your farmlands. Come transfer, relocate over here. And many of these articles were out, like this was in January 1926. Many free Negroes have owned slaves. Free Negro family heads in the United States in 1830. Facts. This is supposed to be at the time of slavery, but you got and that's a fact because it's on the damn census sheets. Family heads, not Africans. These are the Aboriginals. They're trying to do something with the damn Aboriginals. The ones they're trying to do something with because they stole the damn identity by this time. And they was trying to do something with the ones with those Aboriginals that was standing when they landed on Plymouth Rock. They said, well, we got to do something with them. They just hanging, can't leave them. Man, we got to offer them. Let them leave their fucking lands, farmlands. All this shit. But they just paid us no mind. We was just like didn't exist to them. Free Negro family heads in the United States in 1830. And here it is. We have this census sheet. This is the goddamn 1850 census sheet. Slave owner, right? And he married his wife. His wife. This dude was a slave owner. It's right here on this sheet. And he owned his wife. Facts. This is his wife. They had kids and everything. Look at the ages. He was 37. She was 31. One of their kids was 13, 8, 7, 5, 6, 2, and between 6 and 11. Facts. That's just very clear. So when you use the word slaves, idiot, not a coincidence, use it. Make sure you understand what it is. They got a head of household, a master. A head of household is the same person as a master. And his wife is a slave. But guess what? Her husband is a master. And so is the damn kids. And I just read you in the article about how their kids were their slaves. They were born that way. That was the economy in the South. So, boy, step back. And you got to understand, a lot of our people really got tired of living that kind of lifestyle. I can say that I wouldn't have been able to stomach it, only because I'm accustomed to my freedom. And I wouldn't have liked, I don't know. I think you would have seen Sister Betty hanging on the tree, just swinging. So, owned her own husband, Disley Pope of Columbus, Georgia. Owner, her husband. One case of interest is that of Disley Pope of Columbus, Georgia, who owned her own husband. She hired him out to work for other people until he offered her in some way when she sold him to a neighbor. God damn. Lakeisha was not playing. Another Negro of Columbus, Georgia, Joe Clark, a barber, owned and worked Negroes whom he had purchased. Bob Parker, another slave owner of Columbus, operated a line of drays, owning both the drivers and the drays, and also owning a number of Negro women and children. The largest owners of slaves among the colored people in Charleston was R.E. Deerreef, an Indian, and Maria Weston, each of who possessed 14. The free colored people of Charleston were generally a very intelligent folk and always composed the colored artists. Understand that. And we went through this where the Negroes speak nothing but Indian languages. There are many whites claiming to be Indian whose claims have not as yet been acted upon by the nations. Negroes. So when you come into Indian territory, you're going to be frequently met with Aboriginals, aka Negroes. And they speak nothing but Indian languages and are Indians by tribal law and custom. And they had to accompany 2, sometimes 3 interpreters with the census takers so that they could converse with the Indians in the same damn locality. Now, this is when you're saying Negroes and Indians, you're not doing that by saying the darker one and the lighter one. Because the lighter one has the Indian blood. They're either half all the way out to 1/64. Y'all see that shit. And we're going to visit that again. As the Negroes and Indians work side by side on the farm and in the shops, their natural traits are conspicuously illustrated. The Indian is the quicker, the more agile, and on a spurt. But his black brother, his black brother, because the Negro was darker than him, has vastly more staying power. The Indian has the more able and nimble legs, but the Negro is better developed in the chest and arms. You've seen Chief Powhatan, all because of very obvious reasons. Hello? So now we'll get into the Freedmen stuff, okay? The Freedmen's Bureau Act of 1865 and 1866. This was during the goddamn Civil War, y'all. You got to understand. Our ancestors was fighting their ass off for their land, man. They was not trying to come out of the Confederate lifestyle. And the hijack of this is this old ass article, 1865. They did not use African Americans in 1865 or 1863. Give me a fire just so I know you're on the same page of understanding there. They did not use the terminology word African Americans. And we already visited the fact that that's something Jesse and a bunch of other Negroes came up with in 1988. So, like I said, these scholars are going back writing about history, but they're inserting modern day words that were used. We were never identified or understood to be Africans back during these times as slave owners. And that's a fact. We were just not understood to be that. We were the darker of the first people of this land compared to the lighter, who they called the fucking Indian. And now $5 Indians, I call it after the raid. On March 3rd, 1865, Congress passed an act to establish a bureau for the relief of freedmen and refugees. Now, if you're a freedman and a refugee, what are you being freed from in 1865? Please put the answer in the chat. Freedmen and refugees. Now, the freedmen didn't leave their land, but they ceased from their behaviors to assimilate into the corporation, whereas the refugees, they fought on the side of the Union state. Okay, there's those two differences. Freedmen didn't leave their land. They fought on the side of the Confederates. Okay, and the refugees, they fought with the Union, basically. And their ass had to leave the South because they was going to fuck them up. So, and they passed this act to provide food, shelter, clothing, medical services, and land to displaced Southerners. Yeah, they were displaced because they fought on the side of the Union. And they were going to need somewhere to be. They had to get the fuck out of here. And now check this out. They added this in, including newly freed African Americans. Y'all, put a bunch of laughy faces up in this shit. Please. Put a bunch of laughy faces. Please. wasn't nobody called no fucking African Americans in 1865 or 1863. Thank you for the laughy faces, for real. This is the shit that these scholars can't do. But see, they see our reading and comprehension as low level in these same days. They weren't fucking thinking. They didn't think we would have the critical thinking mindset to say, wait a minute, we wasn't called no fucking African Americans. First of all, we were Americans, but we weren't African, and we weren't even part of the corporation yet. We were at our own Confederate government. So what the fuck are they getting African American? They just threw that shit in there. They got to throw history off. Ain't no fucking Africans coming over here being no head of households and owning white slaves and Negro slaves. Mm-mm. They had too many separation laws back then with white people and brown people. Well, whites and Negroes, as you may say, the whites and the Aboriginals. The Freedmen's Bureau was to operate during the present War of Rebellion. All right. When you think of rebellion, think of something. What do you think of? What comes to mind when you think of rebellion? During the present War of Rebellion, what is rebellion? What comes to your mind? Can someone please put, a one word? What is a synonym for rebellion? Come on, help me out, you guys. Google it really quick. Rebellion definition or synonym. Authority. A coup. War. All right. You rebel. Just like when your mom hits you and shit and keep abusing you, you start to rebel. Because they was doing shit to the Aboriginal. They started rebelling and said, fuck that, we ain't going out. You ain't get my land. I don't care what laws you pass. I'm not listening to your laws. We're going to go to war. We're going to fight. Our ancestors, right, Smoke, our ancestors was not going out without a bang. It was an ugly war. It was brother against brother, sister against sister, father against brother, father against son. That was an ugly war. And for 1 year thereafter, and also established schools, supervised contracts between freedmen and employers. Hello. And managed confiscated or abandoned lands. Big trigger. Big trigger. Confiscated or abandoned lands. Bang. There it is. Today they call those confiscated and abandoned lands. They call that unincorporated land today. The battle to establish the Freedmen's Bureau and then to extend the legislation 1 year later was a major factor in the struggle between President Andrew Johnson and radical Republicans in Congress over Reconstruction and the role of the federal government in integrating 4 million newly emancipated, come on, y'all, get your laugh on, African Americans into the political life of the nation. Put your fucking laughy faces up. Because now these African Americans came off these confiscated and abandoned lands. Yo, put your fucking laughs on. I'm fucking done. If they could fight in a war and whoop the white man's ass in the South and their own kind in the South, come on. It makes no sense. They would have fucked their asses up over it if they came in Africa. You can't make this shit up. If they helped the North fight, and remember, there were Negroes in the North massively, all the way up to Canada. If they whooped their ass All right. What made? Why wouldn't they have whooped their ass when they came to Africa to get them? It makes no sense. They got to stop the bullshit. In 1863, Representative T.D. Eliot of Massachusetts proposed a bill establishing a Bureau of Emancipation within the Department of War. The Department of War. Listen, y'all. The Department of War. To provide protection and support to newly freed African Americans. I'm fucking done. Because the War Department consists of Negroes at that same fucking time. These people are stupid as hell. The War Department, it was predominantly Negroes in that bitch. You can't make this shit up. It doesn't add up when you look at the war registration cards and the dog tags. I'm tired of them with the African American shit. They didn't even on nobody's birth certificate now. I'm done. Freedmen, well, you got the War Department, you got Negroes helping out these people, that got out of that agrarianism life, the plantation lifestyle, to come to the industrialized lifestyle. And they left for their lives because those Confederate states was killing your ass if you was a former slave and you fought them to get the fuck away from them. And you were fighting your parents, your cousins. It was terrible. Freedmen aid societies had been advocating for such an agency through memorials, petitions, and direct lobbying. The House spent 2 months debating the bill and finally passed it by a vote of 69 to 67 on March 1st, 1864. Damn, they won by 2 votes. The bill was then referred to the Senate's Select Committee on Slavery and Freedom, chaired by Charles Sumner of Massachusetts. Senate debate on bill focused on which executive department should run the Bureau. Some senators objected to placing the Freedmen's Bureau in the Department of War, favoring the Department of Treasury instead, insisting that the well-being of freedmen depended on their connection to the land. Connection to the motherfucking land. These senators noted that Congress had placed control over confiscated lands in the Treasury Department and argued that freedmen and land should be handled by one authority. Yo, throw up some fucking fire. I'm just not playing with these people today. Fucking took goddamn lands from the Aboriginals, the real people that were in power. And so now, to this, up to and including this very fucking date, they have control over the land. Y'all got to wake up. Y'all paying boo-boos. Y'all real slow. I don't know when Chief Holiday gonna make that little bus for y'all. But y'all got to get on that bus and go to that little special school so y'all can understand this here. Senators who favored the War Department believe it had more experience than any other agency in addressing the needs of freedmen and thought military power was necessary to protect former slaves. Now, the funny shit is they don't want to write about the Indians enslaved because the Indians were enslaved. And who the fuck do you think they are? That's why they don't write stories about them too much. Because then you're going to say, well, goddamn, they're the same person because they are. That's why you have enslaved freedmen, because they been took this fucking land from the Aboriginals. That's why they were enslaved. They were the enslaved Indians. They been took this land. They tried to make it seem like they took this land from the fucking Indians in the 1800s. No. They been did this, yo. Throw up some fucking fire. If you don't understand the real story of the Revolutionary War, then you got to be on the little bus. That's why I'm teaching this shit now. They took this land during the fucking Revolutionary War. Y'all keep thinking it's just all with Britain. No, they were Britain. We got to wake up and smell the coffee. This shit been happened. Our people were complaining about the slave plantation lifestyle with their families in the South to the white boy forever since they came. Just like they communicated, just like they was complaining, just like the Slavs or fucking pilgrims or whatever you want to call them, the colonizers was complaining about paying Britain taxes. They was communicating with each other. Despite the fact that an amended bill would have to go back to the House where it had narrowly passed before, the Senate placed the Bureau under the Treasury Department and passed its amended Freedmen's Bureau bill on June 28th, 1864, by a vote of 21-9. Wow, big difference. The House refused to agree to the Senate's changes. However, so the bill went to conference. The conference committee reported a new bill on February 2nd, 1865, authorizing an independent department of freedmen and abandoned lands not subject to either the war or the Treasury departments. Trying to figure out what the fuck they gonna do with their land. Because see, you make it sound pretty, like the North was so gracefully helping the Aboriginals in the South from the slave bullshit, from the plantation lifestyle. But don't get it twisted. The Democrats and the Republicans, the Confederate states and the Union states, these motherfuckers still, they even already talked about how the shit was gonna go down, how they was gonna take the land. They look, throw up some fucking fire. Ain't nothing changed. Two snakes are the same motherfucking head. They knew they would have to go to war, make it seem like, oh yeah, we got to do this. Make it seem like we go to war, get them motherfuckers off the land. We got to do what we got to just figure out where the fuck we gonna put them at. If once we get them off the land, we got to make it seem like you're against me and I'm against you. Playing two faces, ain't shit changed. Come on now, don't fucking pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. They was all in on the game. The revised legislation stirred up more debate. In addition to the issue of which departments should control the Freedmen's Bureau, senators disputed the role of the federal government in providing special treatment to a specific group of people at the exclusion of others. Some senators argued that the Freedmen's Bureau would make former slaves and Southern refugees dependent on government bureaucrats who might take advantage of them. It would, in effect, prolong their servitude. Iowa Senator James Grimes claimed. They was planning this shit the whole time. That's what you do when you go into legislative session. But see, our people were not. Listen, let me just keep reading before I get mad. Are they freemen or are they not? That's the question. If they are freemen, why not let them stand as free men? He asked. Senator Sumner countered that assistance was a necessity during the transition from slavery to freedom. The curse of slavery is still upon them, he insisted. Call it charity or duty, he said, regarding the creation of the Freedmen's Bureau. It is sacred as humanity. Ultimately, the Senate voted not to concur with the conference report and requested a second conference, which agreed to place control of the Bureau of Refugees, freedmen, and abandoned lands in the War Department. Although several senators vociferously opposed the legislation, the Senate adopted the conference report on March 3rd, 1865, by a vote of 21-9, within 22 members abstaining. The House quickly followed suit, and President Abraham Lincoln signed the bill that same day. A little more than a month later, President Lincoln was assassinated. Yeah, they killed that nigga. And Vice President Andrew Johnson, who would repeatedly clash with radical Republicans in the House and Senate, assumed the presidency. Facts, Mama Chief, the land of the dead soldiers. Who was in the army? Yep. On American soil, targeting Negroes, Indians, and their families. Negro Indian. Well, I'm here to tell you about to go down. You're going to have to become God. Noble Bay. While the act creating the Freedmen's Bureau was considerable legislative accomplishment, it limited the agency's operation to 1 year after the end of the Civil War. On January 5th, 1866, Illinois Senator Lyman Trumbull introduced a bill to extend the provisions of the Freedmen's Bureau Act by removing an expiration date and encompassing freedmen and refugees everywhere in the United States, not just in the Confederate States. His bill also expanded the power of the military governors to enforce provisions to protect, here we go again, y'all, African Americans back in the motherfucking 1866, and define the organization of interim governments in the South under conditions prescribed by Congress. For nearly 3 weeks, the Senate debated the bill, and on January 25th, approved it by a vote of 37-10. After House approval, the bill went to the president's desk on February 13th. Supporters of the legislation, including Lyman Trumbull, believed President Andrew Johnson would sign the bill, so they were shocked when he sent it back to the Senate on February 19th with a veto message. God damn. Johnson stated reasons for opposing the legislation were similar to the arguments made by the measure's opponents in the House and Senate. It was unnecessary to extend the original legislation. It infringed on the states' rights. It gave the federal government an unprecedented role in providing aid to a specific group of people at the exclusion of others. And it was expensive. Let me tell you, because it was Indian motherfucking not tax. Throw up some goddamn fire. Throw it up, throw it up, throw it up, throw it up. Throw that shit up right now. At the explosion, that's what the fuck explosion of others is. Off their tax dollars. It's always been the problem, god damn it. Don't play with my left nut or my right nut. Because they'll just shrivel right on up. Let's go. Johnson had resisted all congressionally driven Reconstruction programs and denounced those who stood opposed to the restoration of the Union. Oh, God, I bet I can imagine how many heads rolled during that time. He viewed the Southern states as fully restored and thus entitled to enjoy their constitutional rights as members of the Union. Democrats and moderate Republicans supported the president's position, and a vote to override the veto the next day failed to gain the necessary two-thirds vote. God damn. This issue floundered until May, when a more moderate House bill to extend the Freedmen's Bureau was proposed. This final bill gained approval by both the House and the state Senate and went to the president on July 3rd. Again, President Johnson vetoed the bill. Was he a nigga? Was he a Negro, y'all? I'm keeping it real. Was President Johnson a goddamn Negro? I think his ass was. This time, however, both the Senate and the House mustered the two-thirds majorities necessary to override the veto. The Freedmen's Bureau Act of 1866 became law on July 16th, extending the work of the agency for 2 more years. Yo, now you understand. And I think now, yep, his name was Johnson. Yes, it was. And we're going to get into that. So you will begin to understand, damn, you're going to begin to look at this in a new way. Now, we're rolling it back just a little bit here from 1866. We're going to put it back to the American Colonization Society. I already read this, but it helps you to understand this shit. They tried to get the Indians to go to fucking Africa, not the motherfucking Negroes, because they, listen, the dark ones, that's who they wanted to get to go over to Africa. There have been colonization and immigration, identity and destiny, the free black community in early republic. Okay, it really said blacks where I put Indians because you can understand it better. And I'll be able to show you why. You'll see why. It makes more sense. There have been several proposals for the removal of Indians from America over the years, but the founding of the American Colonization Society in late 1816 brought the issue to increased national attention. The new movement, with the support of major political figures, struck all the right chords in white America, of fucking course. Removal of unwanted blacks to their own homeland. So now you want to take the goddamn Aboriginals out from where you first met them when your ass came here, foreigners, and bring them to their own little homeland. Why didn't they go? Why the fuck didn't they go? That should have been the question. Because we already had shit set up here nicely. Little fuckers. The spread of Christianity to the dark pagan world and the development of an Indian economy free of the slave trade. Indians saw through the scam quickly. The colonization under white control would remove free Indians and make slavery more secure. And the rhetoric of colonization grew increasingly poisonous to Indians, describing them as degenerate and hopelessly degraded, denying any possibility of Indian and white coexistence in America. However, if slavery was to be the dominant social political force and racism the dominant popular ideology, what role was there for the Indians? And would they want that damn role? Would they continue their struggle to be free and equal citizens? Because after that war, after the war with the freedmen, aka Aboriginals, they was fighting to be equal. And in the corporation, they didn't see them as feel that they should be equal, like today still, of the United States. Would they continue their struggle to be free and equal citizens of the United States, or forge a new identity in the larger Black Atlantic world? Indian, Negro, colored, Black, mulatto, Afro-American, African-American. I'm done. I'm fucking done. That's what it was. That was the only way you could get them in that fucking corporation to pay them taxes. They couldn't be coming in as the Indian. And I just read that to you under the Freedmen's Bureau, because they was like, no, you letting them in there, they gonna be paying no fucking taxes. That's what they was really saying. And they gotta live off our shit. Get the fuck out of here. Wow. That was their attitude. Because that Constitution does says Indian, not tax. There's for a fucking reason. It's like, no, you ain't letting them bitches in here and they ain't paying taxes, live off my shit. Yeah, we took their fucking land, but no. Before our ancestors were Negroes, we were the Aboriginals / Indians that lived in Charleston territory, the Catawba, Cherokee, Pee Chicora, Edisto, Santee, Yamasee, and Chickawaccamaw, Chicora, Waccamaw, all those thousands of tribes in the North and South. That's who we were. All right. So my question is to these funny little things over here on the right, during this fucking war, where were they? Prove to me that these are Africans fighting in the Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783. Bullshit. Bullshit. They're nowhere in there. What are they doing? Sitting with all this fighting brutally across the states was going on. And where was these motherfuckers over here on the right? Don't play with me. Do not. Do not play with me. They doing just like they boy Not a Coincidence do. Be in the fucking chats and shit. Don't come on the panel. That's how they was when this fucking war was going on. Nowhere to be found. Get your ass out of here. And this is in South Carolina. Yo, look at Mac Daddy strapped over there in the hat. Still, no sightseeing of these little funny Lulus over on the right. And nowhere in on the right in the South. This is during the goddamn Civil War. We're still no sightings of them. I'm not playing. They ain't even walking down the street like they want to see if, at least a little flashlight or something's around. I mean, they ain't even just walk down the street. Niggas out there. Again, and South Carolina, where are these little woo-woo Sues on the right in this picture? Negroes. They're nowhere to be found. They fucked South Carolina up. And these little kids was not running around nowhere. You see the Negroes sitting down over there. These somebody damn ancestors sitting down over there. And so after that Civil War, the Reconstruction, and it was during the time and after they was, making plans for this Reconstruction Act. In 1866, many Americans felt that the Union had not been adequately Reconstruction, that the way freedom had been defined for freedmen was not adequate, and that presidential Reconstruction had led to neither healing nor justice. As a result, a majority Republican Congress was elected and pushed for the passage of the Reconstruction Act of 1867, which enacted the plan that became known as Radical Reconstruction. The South was divided into 5 military districts and governed by military governors until acceptable state constitutions could be written and approved by Congress. Here the fuck we go again. They rewrote the Constitution. Bam, right there in your face. They rewrote them. All the states had to rewrite their constitutions. All males, regardless of race, but excluding former Confederate leaders, them crazy motherfuckers, were permitted to participate in the constitutional conventions that formed the new governments in each state. New state constitutions were required to provide for universal manhood suffrage, which is voting rights for all men, without regard of race. Because if you was not, if you was white and poor and didn't own no land, you couldn't vote. States were required. Remember, I taught you about the ratification and admissions. States were required to ratify the 14th Amendment in order to be readmitted to the Union. They do that shit all over, and I showed you how it went down the line. Because all the guys, they wasn't sure. They had to make sure that after this war, that they ceded the lands in their territories from the Indians, from the niggas. They had to. That was an assurance. You had to have. There were things that needed to be met. You had to establish a new constitution, and your ass had to have 3 branches of government in each state and militia. If you didn't have all that, you could not be readmitted. You wouldn't have gotten readmitted. But you had to establish that you had control of all the Indian territory in your specific state, which these dogs, that's what they did, y'all. These are the descendants of those freedmen, those Aboriginals, who the colonizers have removed from their own fucking land. The darker ones. You're looking at them. They ain't dying no goddamn Spanish flu. Our hoods, baby. Pookie and Ray Ray and Lil Man still running the hoods. They still running the hoods and speak all the Indian languages, baby. Fire. Facts. You saw it in the newspaper. Census takers had to go around in these bitches, and they needed Pookie and Ray Ray. They needed Pookie and Ray Ray to go around with this shit. Our leaders were supposed to teach us. They never wanted us to learn. Now, my beloveds, here's what I'm going to do. Let me stop this share screen. Hey. So, we went through those really quickly. Let me see. Let me turn my camera on. We went through that really quickly. And now that you got the understanding of the freedmen and all that, now I want to show you a video. You saw the video before, but I want you to pay attention to Rodney Butler's statement on what happened to the Indians here in the North, Aboriginals, whatever, to his people. Because the same thing he tells you that happened to them, the same shit happened to you. So you got to understand. Hang on, here we go, y'all. Let me make sure I got shit turned all the way up. Yep, I do. All right. Fair use, and this is not YouTube channel. All right. I think I'll make it a little bigger. And I want you guys to really listen, because I'm not going to let you listen to the whole thing, just to listen to his story. Pay close attention. Don't move, y'all.
Yeah, Tony just let out a very little known fact that Kevin and I were twins separated at birth. So, well, thank you all for being here today. You know, it really is a joyous occasion in a sense that we're all celebrating this morning in very tight quarters, mind you. But we're all very pleased about this last legislative session and what we in this room and in this region were able to accomplish. And you can't underscore that. This wasn't about Pequot. It wasn't about Mohegan. It wasn't about MGM and what they're doing in Massachusetts. It was really about this entire region and this entire state. And I was just thinking about, from a historical perspective, a couple of things I just wanted to touch on. Kevin mentioned the historical context of us as two nations. And when you think about 400 years ago, we were one nation 400 years ago, and then we had our differences and we split, and then the colonists came here shortly thereafter and pitted us against each other. And 380 years ago, there was a major conflict that occurred between us and the Mohegans and the colonists and Narragansett. And at the end of that conflict, there was a treaty that said that Pequots no longer existed. And our language was forbidden, and we were divided amongst the Mohegan, amongst the Narragansett, amongst some of the colonies, and some sent to Bermuda. And my running here,
listen again,
shortly thereafter,
listen,
and pitted us against each other. And 380 years ago, there was a major conflict that occurred between us and the Mohegans and the colonists and Narragansett. And at the end of that conflict, there was a treaty that said that Pequots no longer existed, and our language was forbidden, and we were divided amongst the Mohegan, amongst the Narragansett.
Pequots don't exist. Their language forbidden. That's what they did to y'all. That's why y'all became the Freedmen. They did it to all across the state. And it was, guess, bust this shit. Bust this shit. Listen. This shit happened the same time it happened to them. It happened to them in the South. That's how they became the Freedmen. Do y'all get it now? Please throw up fire. It happened at the same time. This is in the North. This shit happened in the South too. That's how you became the Freedmen, because you had a government that existed and an economy that existed in the South. It happened the same time. There was never a fucking story of slaves coming over here. It happened at the same time. And they're trying to make it seem like this shit happened. It happened in the 1600s. Your language was taken. It was forbidden to speak it. You didn't exist. And these Pequots, they wasn't no fucking joke. They rebels. Listen one more time, y'all. And I want you to understand. Here we go, baby.
One nation 400 years ago. And then we had our differences and we split. And then the colonists came here shortly thereafter and pitted us against each other. And 380 years ago, there was a major conflict that occurred between us and the Mohegans and the colonists and Narragansett. And at the end of that conflict, there was a treaty that said that Pequots no longer existed, and our language was forbidden, and we were divided amongst the Mohegan, amongst the Narragansett, amongst some of the colonies, and some sent to Bermuda. And my running joke is that unfortunately I wasn't one that was sent to Bermuda. So, but I've been there. We still have cousins down there. So, but ironically, the Western Pequot. So today there's a Western Pequot and the Eastern Pequot.
to get them sugar canes in Bermuda, baby. But he wasn't able to go. But his ancestors, they did. They sent him over there. They put him over there. They put him in Jamaica. They split them all up. Yo.
Quite ironically, the Western Pequot were enslaved to the Mohegans. And not many people realize that or understand that. Eastern Pequot were enslaved to the Narragansett. And shortly thereafter, the slavery for us wasn't something that was native in a sense. And between our leader at the time and Uncas, it was we were released and negotiated to have a settlement over in now present Noank, was our original reservation. Later, that land was taken from us. It's great waterfront land. There's some nice homes down there. No offense to anybody. No offense to anybody living down there. I'd live there if I could. But that land was valuable, and that was taken from us once again, and we were relocated to Mashantucket in 1666. And so, we have the oldest reservation in the country, continuous reservation in the country. And so, and every tribe has their story. Mohegan went through their conflict later, and there were parts of there were periods in time where we worked together. And there were period times where there was additional conflict, but over time we all had the same shared story of conflict with the colonies, and later the United States of Connecticut. And so we do have that long, strong shared history together. And so to me, it's not that unique or ironic that today we're standing here before you as partners, as cousins, as collaborating on this initiative. We've been working together for many years now. On much smaller.
So Lex, this is why I'm telling you, nigga, I ain't coming to be no motherfucking partners with no damn Africans. Hell to the no. Nigga. I don't care if they pieced it up. They from the same damn landmass. Yeah, I can see that. That's cool. You the Mashantucket and the Mohegans, now them two, they are leaders in their tribe, and they got split up because they used to be one tribe, and now they're partners, and they piece that shit up. They're in the same land. Africa ain't on my fucking land. I don't want to be with them. The hell out of here. You take your ass over there with them long neck people.
All initiatives that didn't get quite the headlines that we have today, but we've recognized that our shared conflicts bring us together as two tribal nations. And Mohegan just hosted NCAI this past week, which is the National Congress of American Indians. 567 fairly recognized tribes from all over the country, as far away as Alaska, descended upon Mohegan land. It was a beautiful occasion, and we all shared our history and our shared struggles together. And it really was quite an amazing moment. So we have this incredible bond as two nations that go back for 400 plus years. Kevin and I, as he pointed out, have similar a bond in different ways, right? We're both Montville graduates, although we went different paths. I always say that he's much, much, much more accomplished than I'll ever be in 3 lifetimes.
You also say you're much, much, much younger.
Yeah. I was leaving that one out. I was just giving him credit, but this process has brought us together in ways that you certainly can't describe in a breakfast meeting in front of all of you here today. We've really shared the struggle together, and I consider him my brother in combat in a different way. I mean, he's been there. He's actually been on the front lines and in those battles that many of us will never ever see. And so I have tremendous respect for everything that he's done for all of us in this room in that respect and this nation. And we should hold our military members in the highest regard for what they do. I haven't been there. So again, kudos to you and thank you for that. So just.
All right. And that's the end of that. I don't want to go any further, but it is what it is. I mean, the exact same thing that happened to them happened to us. Okay. Now, what you got to understand. Oh, and let me remind you of the tribal folks down there in Mohegans. These are the tribe members and the owners right here. Tribal council. Throw up some fire again. I know you seen it yesterday. You know, all of them. Yo, listen. Same color, same landmass, North America. Yep. I look more like her than the goddamn African. Same landmass, baby. And all our Aboriginals across the Americas, we come in all shades. All shades. And we are a beautiful people. Bottom line. We come from the very lightest to the very darkest here in North America. And when this shit happened to them, when they was warring, and like when the colonists came, that's the time. 400 to 400, whatever, how many years ago, that was the same time. They're trying to make it seem like the shit that happened in the South happened in the 1800s. No. Same time. That's why I was trying to tell you, I got to show you rather than just tell you so you could see it for what it is. It happened the same time as it happened to them. That's when you, way back then is when you became freedmen. They been took the shit from you. That's why they don't like to talk about the story that the Indians were enslaved, because you were the Indians that were enslaved. Same time as them. So now you got the enslaved Cherokee Freemen enslaved by the colonizers. We were all enslaved by the colonizers. And whatever, whoever enslaved us, we became that freedman. So you have the Choctaw freedmen. That's how you got the name. You're Choctaw, but you're a freedman because you were enslaved. That was the first takeover right there. They been did this shit to us. It just happened when you got out. Finally, they had the Civil War because we were rebelling against that shit from when they first did it. At the same time, they did it to the Pequots. They told them, they wrote a fucking treaty and said the Pequots don't exist and they can't speak their language, and they shipped their ass off to Bermuda and shit. They did the same thing to us. But we stayed on our land. They enslaved us because we ceded. And we became the enslaved Indians. And after the war, we became the freedmen. That's how we got the name. We were Cherokees. We were the original ones in power, just like the Pequots were. But then we, a status. Okay, you're Cherokee, but now you're a freed Cherokee. All right? It's all over. It's all over. And this is why I press so much that reestablishing your family tribe, that's what they did. They reestablished. And that's why I said it's so important. Stop allowing the society to say that all the Indians died. No, we didn't. We're still here. We're just unrecognized like they were. They came back and got their fucking recognition on their land. And we should be doing that too. Same thing. But niggas want to overlook this. No, reestablish. Let's do this. Now, let's get to the funny stuff and then we can end this, okay? I'll open the panel for a little, but I want you to see what I mean. And we went over this before. I just want to go over the full bloods names so you'll know, oh, I get it now. The same time this shit happened to the fucking Mashantuckets and Mohegans, it happened to us in the South the same time. And the Indians were enslaved. That was us. So now let's look at the old Indians' names. And by the way, they re-updated this list now because all the people on here are dead. On these rolls. The rolls have been updated now because they had to put those freedmen back on the rolls But they said, you'll come on, but you ain't giving you no blood quantum. Because then you're going to see all the fucking full bloods again. And that's what they don't want you to see. So the ones that I have, this is an old census, old rolls. So let's go, y'all. All right, let's do the funny shit. Let's play with the full bloods names. These people are all dead. Lucy Warseat, Dave Warseat. Ain't no fucking white people name. Look, ain't no white English people name. Lucy Warseat, Dave Warseat, Levi Warseat, Ellis Warseat, Lucinda. Ain't no damn white people name no damn Lucinda. Key Sam, Molly Key, William Swimmer, Susie Swimmer. These are all full bloods. Now, when you get down here to the half blood, John Waters, Susie Waters. Susie was full blood. John was half blood. Now, there wasn't nothing but Negroes and white Europeans over this bitch. Nobody else. If John Waters is a half blood, he's half in this tribe, in these tribes. What the fuck is his race? He's half what? What is he half, y'all? Because, all right, there was only black and white people here. I'm just going to say that just for the sake. There's only black and white people here. 2 white people are not full bloods. We know that. Let's use our common sense. You don't even have to critically think this shit. So if he's half blood, half, his ass is half Negro, what we call Negroes now, instead of who they really are, half Indian and half white. Then we get back to the full bloods. Mary Leaf, Adam Leaf, Nellie Leaf. Ellen Holmes. John Hooper. These are full bloods. Lizzie Hooper, Luke Hooper, Jack Hooper. These are full blood Indians. Negroes. They're just dead. 1/16. Well, here you go. Hang on. Let me stop it for 1 second. There's your goddamn 1/16 over there on the far right. Listen, that's 1/16 right there. What you're looking at right there on the right. So 1/16. He cannot be a full blood. He on the left, Rodney, is probably a half blood. That's very obvious. He has more of his Negro features. 2 Negroes make a full blood. You better believe that shit. I'm not playing with these damn people. Isaac Ward, see, look at this shit. Charlie will say Maggie Cummins, Thomas Bird, John Cummins, George Peter, Thomas Grass, Bessie Grass, Sequoia Tanner. Ain't no fucking white people named Sequoia that's a full blood. Get your ass out of here. John Susie and Walker Parchmill. Sound like cornmeal. Jim Teehee, Lucy, Josiah Leaf, Lydia, O.C. Soldier. Ain't no white people named O.C. It's niggas. John Thompson, Adgie Thompson, Price, Parchhorn, Nancy. Come on, man. John Snell, Andy Snell, Looney Snell, John Watermelon. Oh, what y'all? This nigga like watermelon. Hickory Van, William Beaver, Lucinda Big Feather. Ain't no white girl's name no goddamn Lucinda. All the Lucindas I know is skinny, tall, and dark. And they can sing their ass off. Sister Lucinda. Joe Muskrat. Ain't no goddamn, you know what? Jack Buckhorn, Lizzie Buckhorn. These niggas. Let's see. I'm just reading the full bloods. Susan Crittenden, Johnny Nelson, Hog Shooter. These are nicknames. Elijah Spade, John Spade, Joseph Hog Shooter, Emma, Susan Turtle, Charles Turtle, Annie Bird, Lucy Bird, Jessie Bird, Bessie Bird, Lewis Bird. Yo, John Cornshucker. Nanny Bread, Wilson Bread. They probably cooked bread, made bread. Annie Robbins, Thomas, Lucy Tail, French Tail, John Wesley, James Crittenden, Scott, Lenny Scott. Come on now. Still Jackson. I'm done. William Grits. Yo, I'm done. See, I just want the full bloods. Nancy Wolf was a full blood. Fuck is a 7-8. You know what? Eli Walker, Alan No Fire, Nancy Downing, Nanny Pigeon, John Pigeon, Darky Squirrel. Now, ain't no white people gonna name their goddamn baby Darky Squirrel. And they are full blood. Took your shit, stole your name, and claimed the Dawes Roll. Bushy Head Shade. Who the hell? Ain't no white people gonna name their kid Bushy Head. I'm done. Oh, look at all these full bloods. They're all dead. Did the same shit that they did with the Pequots. All these people last name Spade, so you know they were some dark people. Thomas Going Snake, Henry Robbins, Sally Robbins, Julio Robbins. Yo. George Bushyhead, Jenny Bushyhead, Susie Stiffness, Annie Coon, Joe Coon. Come on. Ain't no white people last name no damn Coon. Nancy Tent Killer, Della Cat Killer, Chickalele Tent Killer, Chickalele. Ain't no white people naming their damn kid no Chickalele. Nellie Buster, Tom Buster. Come on. I ain't got time for the games. Shit, these damn names is hilarious. These are nickname shit. That nickname shit. Let me see. Well, I'm gonna do this last row to see all these full names. All these are full bloods. Jenny Fallingwater, Danielle Grits, Peggy Grits. Come on, Nancy Wycliffe, Nanny Young Deer, Joe Feather. Come on, man. Sally Feather, Joe Young Duck, Jack Bluebird, Peggy Bluebird. All these names is something else. Jesse Drywater. Betsy Murphy, Willie Murphy, John Murphy, Lizzie Murphy, Tom Murphy, Katie Martin, Nanny Lacey, Mary Turner, Susan Turner, Minnie Thornton. I know a lot of Thorntons up here in Connecticut. Richard Pigeon, Jenny Speaker, George Dick, Betsy Dick. All these are full bloods. Walkers. Some funny ass names. Bushy Head. Ain't no damn white people naming their baby no damn Bushy Head. So I wanted you to understand the freedmen. I wanted you to understand who they were before they were freedmen. They were not Africans brought here. This history has been rewritten so bad and all just so you would not know the Department of War is over your lands. Understand, these freedmen, they were somebody before that. The same time they did that shit to the Pequots, it happened the same time in the South. That's when they enslaved the Indians. And they didn't want you to know that. They want your mind fucked up that they brought these goddamn Indians over here. From Africa, these black folk from Africa. No. Freedmen. They're freed from what? From being enslaved. We just the only ones that didn't reestablish our shit like the Pequots and all the other 500 tribes. We the only ones. But we all in the hoods and we don't know this. We don't know to do this. Pastor wanted to keep you in control in the church. Nah, fuck it. Don't have nothing. I keep telling y'all, you got to do it. So I'm going to drop the link. If you come up here acting stupid, your ass out of here because I'm not playing with you. I know my shit. Give me a minute, y'all. I'm gonna drop the link in a minute. Y'all know I take my little 2-second bathroom and water break. Just give me a minute and I'll be right back to drop the link. Because I look forward to elaborating.
Time's been moving slowly, so we already in too deep. Can't get no sleep on each other, heavy teasing all day. And when the sun sets, you asking me to come through, kick it with you. Night turn to morning dew, then you the key to the lock, we in our own zone. Make yourself at home, get to know mine on the inside. Can meet at yours next time. And you feel refreshing, lose control. You don't wanna go slow, for sure. We both already know your place is my place now. Your place
Thank you for your patience. The link is pinned to the top. I will ask during this time, anybody want to step to the panel? It's pinned to the top. I only ask for you to be respectful. Cause see, I have very short patience. I do. I really do. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm not going to play today. I want the audience to understand. And I really want you to understand because a lot of our people, from what I see, they're thinking of this as being an 1800s thing. This shit happened way back at the same time it happened with the Pequots. See, this shit just happened in the North. Their shit. Ours happened in the South. And that shit, we got enslaved the same time they did. Facts. Facts. And the South proceeded to move on with the way the system that I read to you about that they had in the South. That type of lifestyle. Facts. The when they enslaved the Indians, that's when they came with the agrarianism lifestyle. That was an agrarian based economy. It became an agrarian based economy in 1861. But the Indians were enslaved before that. We lived in our families. They came in and took our shit the same time it happened to the Pequots and them. That was a collective effort. The link is pinned to the chat. Anybody coming up? Somebody asked me to drop the what do you call it? Support the channel, y'all. Hit the like button. And please feel free to donate to support my channel. I'm asking boldly now. But there's the link if anyone wants to come up. If you don't have any questions, I'm not sure if everybody, what do you think? I would like to hear your thoughts. Let's see. Shout out to OG Green Machine, Noble Autumn Bay, Copper Aborigines, Choctaw, Montana, Mama Chief again. Shout out to everybody up in here, man. Original Intellect, Free Papa TV. Let's see who else we got in here. C. Roberts, D. Allen Warren. I hope that I was able to enlighten you. The more we talk about this, the more you're able to strengthen your critical thinking and say, okay, now it makes more sense to me when I listen. When I tell y'all I don't fuck around, I'm the last one you want to see in the court. I'm coming with the receipts, man. And all this shit is scanned on disc and passed out to my family, unless they try to do me like they did Martin Luther King. But I don't play around, man. I'm coming for you with your own shit. You can't deny your own governmental paperwork, man. Nah, man. Nah. We're sitting in the courtroom for a long time. Oh yeah. That's when I get in my beast mode. I do not play. All that shit is scanned. Thank you, sweetheart. Aw. Oh, thanks, Chuck Montana. You sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I would really like to get your thoughts of this particular segment because really you guys what helped me was understanding that wait a minute, the confusion lied in they put this shit to happen in the 1800s and it didn't happen way before that. The same time the Pequots and them were conquered, we were too. That's why when you hear the story, the Indians were enslaved, you can't just think of the ones that are in the North. No, that's across the states, but they weren't states yet. But yeah, we were enslaved, employed. It was horrible. And then the big bust and the big break came during the Revolutionary War, the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. It was crazy as hell. And they really wanted to, because of the way that the Constitution was drafted up after, we helped fought, the Union folks with the Southern folks. They was like, and Johnson was like, no, fuck that. Wait, they gonna pay taxes. Why we gotta pay and they ain't gotta pay? And they still say that shit to today. For real. But all that, when you watch and you listen to the story and you're like, wait a fucking minute. The North is saying, well, we got to set shit up for them, the refugees and stuff, because they had to leave. They had to get out of the South because the South, senators and representatives and from those areas in the South, they knew that, you fought with the fucking Union against us. So that's when the threats was coming out and stuff in the South. You was fighting with the Union. You helped them. You know how they do? Just picture Big Meech, feuding with other dudes on the other side of the town. Oh, you went with that nigga, huh? Yep. You get the fuck off your lane. Get out. That's the kind of shit that was going on down south. You better leave. You don't leave, you dead by tomorrow because you fought with the Union. You out of here. Get out. That was how it was down south. Facts, Aborigines. Facts. So that's what made me understand this more, because I'm like, wait a minute. The Southern War stuff is not as early as the 1800s. It goes back further than that. It has to. Otherwise, how do you get the Freedmen's? I get it now. They fucking ran up in there and took the damn government, because all those people on those roads are dead. And they're dead, but not their descendants. Because you heard me when I read the paper where it said that some of them were in tribes were there. Some of them joined other tribes. Some family members. Yeah, that happened. Peace to double triple R. Facts. So I'm like, wait a minute. We got to put this in the right time period, because something's not right. We know Africans didn't come over here. We know that. But something's not right. Why are they talking more about the Africans were enslaved? What about the Indians that were enslaved? It wasn't just the Indians in the fucking North. It was the Indians in the South too. Because then it makes sense. Why was Catawba fighting? Why was Cherokee fighting? All the other little small tribes in the South, because there's so many of them. And they're all unrecognized. And I'm like, wait a fucking minute. Now I see where it is. There was not no Africans enslaved. It was the Indians enslaved. And Cherokee Indians. That makes sense. They were, because they did the same shit. When I tell you they did the same shit to the Mohegans and the motherfucking Pequots, you see what he said. They even wrote a treaty and said the Pequots, they was ruthless. Them fucking Pequots wasn't no joke. They were oh God, what were they? They were called the something. Well, he said they was something. They was treacherous. But you heard what dude said. They made them, tell them that they didn't exist no more and all this shit. Well, we don't exist no more either. But damn, you got to file a legal. We got to reestablish. And you heard he said he still got family over in Bermuda. But they reestablished. Ain't nothing wrong with civilly reestablishing. Right. Africans wasn't here. So I've been on for 2 hours. Doesn't seem like anyone has any questions or any final thoughts. My final thoughts are we have to reestablish. I'm working on the lawsuit for the individual. We already did ours. So, but our people in our community have a crippling. I will set up a meeting for you to come in. Oh, I got it. visitor. Hi, Choctaw. What's up?
No much. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, brother. What's good?
Um, I just want to know how did you find all that? You know what I'm saying? All the names and where did you go about get all that information?
Oh,
Like,
researching
what
and
led
looking.
you there? Like, what led you to that path?
Everything is based on political. So you have to go to what politically happened. Everything that happened to us was political moves. And
Correct.
that's a fact. So I went the political route. That's the best route to go because then you get all of the um primary resources. But that's
Hmm.
everywhere. It's so many different directions. And then you have to really literally listen to these recognized Indians. They tell you their story, and their stories are very much a duplicate of ours. Same shit.
So, so when you were calling them, enslaved, I wouldn't want to. Me personally, no disrespect, I wouldn't want to put it that way. I would say more like a prisoner
Yeah,
because
prisoners of war.
you know what I'm saying? Because they was fighting. So, with all of this fighting, still to this day, you feel me? I would say prisoners of war, not really so much slaves,
Right,
but
prisoners of
enslaved,
war.
you
I
know.
normally use that, but with society, they always say the enslavement of the Indians. And
Yeah,
then they change it to the enslavement of African. Nah, not a nice try. We know what you did.
right,
And they figured we were slow ass people and wouldn't get it.
right,
But we got it. It's just you got to bring it out and get our people to understand it. Because
right.
Dan was right when he said that damn slave story is some bullshit. It truly is.
It is.
But they did it here in North America. The same thing that happened to Percussions and all of them. They did it in South America too. Same thing.
They did. They got like a little show.
The
I
Spanish, the French, they all did this shit.
want to say they have a show. I don't know if it's on Prime or whatever, how their queen or whatever fell in love with one of the conquistadors. So that's how they kind of adopted the Spanish language with one of the Spanish conquistadors from Spain. So and
Didn't he have a thing for the Queen of England too?
I'm pretty sure he did, but
Or was it the king that had a thing for her? I know it was one way or the other. I
I
forget how
I
it
want
went.
to say the conquistador wanted to have the queen on the way they was explaining it when I previewed it. Um, and they were saying that like he wanted her, but he only got with her because they enslaved their people. Well, made them prisoners of war. But
Oh.
she fell in love with him because what she did was she sacrificed herself to save the people. You know what I'm saying? And she was trying to prevent them to come up here, but they came up here anyway.
Mm.
So I
I
don't know,
gotta
man.
read
It was
that
an
story.
interesting. It was a
I
little
gotta read
interesting show. It was an interesting show, but I never really peeped into it because I was just like, man, I don't know, because
that.
the way they be, you know how it goes when they got to do it their way. You know how it be. The truth within a lie, the truth behind a lie. So you kind of gotta like peep certain things. So I don't remember the name. I think it was like Clean or something. It's either on like uh Prime or
Copper said the conquistadors are the Portuguese.
well, the conquistadors, they're actually the beginning of the Moor group. So it was kind of like multiple people. It wasn't just the Portuguese. It was also Germans, French, Italian, Chinese, African, Arab, which are the original Moors, the people from Yemen and Turkey and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the British also. They were just like conquistadors. Basically, if you ever, anybody that's peeped a Star Wars episode or whatever, you might not be into it, but whoever is and they peeped it out, it's kind of like the little soldiers of the Templar Knights. So they was kind of like the soldiers of the Templar Knights. And this is all going on during, you know what I'm saying, the Crusades been going on since then. They only speak of the Crusades later, you know, before, you know, all the religion stuff. No, it's been going on since then because they already knew who was the chosen ones. They knew who was the ones who are the strongest people on the planet, the smartest and beyond. You know what I'm saying? So they knew if they came over here, adopted our style, take it back to wherever they came from, they knew they'll stride. That's the only reason why they came over here. That's why they called it the New World.
Yeah,
This
they
is
used
old to
our
us.
strategy, our own strategy on us. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They came over here, copied our style, and they still doing it to this day with our
Yep.
music,
All of the countries are.
everywhere,
And I
everywhere,
gotta address
everywhere.
Woody Baby. All people of color came from Africa. I don't think so. You don't know me, so this is how I'm gonna start addressing you, African boo boos. You
And
don't
that's it.
know me. We are not from the same bloodline,
Exactly.
obviously. So I think it would be better for you, pan boo boos, to just start speaking for your own personal selves.
Correct.
As to
So,
come on somebody's channel and tell them where they came from is very disingenuous because I didn't come from there. And that's a fact. So I guess these federally recognized, well-known tribe, they came from Africa too, huh? Huh? You okay? Ain't no way in the hell they from here and I ain't. Boy, bye. Hey, big dog.
Hey, much love and respect, Sister Betty, first of all. Much love and respect to you and the family, the brother on the panel, Choctaw, and everybody in the chat. You know, shout out to the brother Blue, because that's
Oh,
the story that he gives about the Pequot out of
yeah.
Illinois. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And that's what I got from that, Sister Betty.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I had to really come up because, like you said, they done changed history where they put the boat story right where that was supposed to have been right there. The
Yep.
first, you see what I'm saying? So I
Yep.
just wanted you to know I understood and heard what you said, and I wanted to shout out Blue because Blue always shout out the Pequods
Yes. Shout out to
from
Blue. That's
Illinois.
right.
Exactly.
Yep.
So much
Yep.
love and respect. I want you to know I'm on the same page with you, sis. Much love and respect to
Oh,
everybody.
Billy, much love and respect to you too, bruh. I kept looking. I said, "This something got to be it. Something got to be right." So I looked at all the papers and I listened. I said, "Wait a minute! They did shit at the same time. It wasn't two different Indian enslavements. No, 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 no." So then I was like, "There it is, right there. All this shit is right under our nose." And these pan boo boos are so severely indoctrinated. It's sad. And you got these little fat people that are, uh, they're white and they come under these false, with these false, like little fat dude that um Lex had on his channel talking about our history. I'm just not having it. No. And with behavior like that, it's so questionable to me. It really is. It's very questionable. It's very agent like. And I said, I work for the goddamn government. I'm not even like that. And I'm like, something's not right. So there's something really wrong with these Pan Africans. There really is. There's something wrong. And it's going to come out. Well, we know they're losing the war because all of our people are starting to wake up. Everybody's saying the same story. I don't feel my fucking show, right? You little dog. See how mad they are? Sorry, but you didn't get that. They tried to porn bomb me. See how mad they get?
That's crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. They tried. You tried, but it ain't work, buddy. You little
Sister
fat
Betty, that's why I
turtle.
put my banner up. When you start seeing people you don't know, put your banner up.
Yep. Well, they didn't get none because I knocked them off. So,
Yeah, I got you. But that's
yep.
why I put the
Now I
banner up.
know. I knew something was strange because he had a little fake white face. But that's what happens when you come in here and you put out that real information, it stings them. Because the more you look into the history, the more you see the truth. It comes to you. And all you have to do is use your common sense and look right under your nose. This shit is real. I'm like, well, wait a minute. This happened then. It's all about timeline. So they had to literally, and shame on our people. And, you know, I really hope that our people that help convolute this story up about us coming from Africa, I really want to live to see them suffer. I really do. Because, see, that story didn't work with the Pequots and the Mohegans. It only worked with the people from the South. That slave story, it only literally worked with the people from the South, the African bullshit. It didn't work with the Pequots and Mohegans. And you see them for who they are. And I know that these Kid Grebo people and them, they do that porn bomb shit. Because they all hang together. But I'm like, damn, well, I'll be damned. I went back and had to get all the 411. I was not playing. And I put everything that I have on scan drives. It's not on paper. So if this house was to burn down, nothing went burn because them copies went everywhere. They're everywhere. Everybody got flash drives. So I made sure I got all of it out to my family all over. So we'll have it. And my thing is, I said, well, I'll be damned. That slave story only affected the southern states and with the pan-boo-boo indoctrination. Because here in the north, none of the Indian tribes talk about a fucking slave trade. None of it. Their story is direct. Their story is they were taken to Bermuda, and he's right. They were taken to Bermuda. They were taken to all the British islands. And there was people already there too. Our people. They were taken to North, Central, and South America. And Canada. Don't forget that, Nova Scotia. So they did that with the Pequots and the Narragansett, all them people, all them tribes here in the north. So I'm like, wait a minute. How come I put two and two together, big dog, and y'all in the chat. I said, how come they had a slave story for the South, but they have a slave story for the North one? And we from the North, I said, wait a minute. They never had a Kunta Kinte story for the North. But they had a Kunta Kinte story for the South. And I don't remember which part of the South Kunta Kinte was in. But I'm like, this shit, something ain't adding up right. Something's not adding up. So our people in the South that convoluted up that story in our minds and shit, they put us in these church schools as little kids, little church that they brought on the reservations on our lands to teach us this bullshit doctrine. And when we didn't be good, that's where our family came with this little harsh discipline on us. And I sit here and think, I'm like, damn, it for our own families to want to leave their farmlands, I could see why, because the way families act today, they still don't get along. And I mean, I don't care if our people did live on like 160 acres and you got Betty Jean house down, a few acres over, and we're all spread out on 160 acres. And we family just have feuds and shit and say, you know what, I'm getting out of here. I understand the stories. A lot of our people that lived on their 160 acres as a family unit, they would literally leave and go pack up and move in with somebody else on somebody else's land because they like, I got to get the fuck away from my family. They're getting on my nerves. They probably don't like their man or whatever. In any case, all the same issues we have today back then. So that explains why they would leave and go and live on somebody else's plantation and make a deal and become enslaved to them, because that was that lifestyle, that agricultural lifestyle, working the plantations. So they would leave their own family plantations and go and move on somebody else's plantation and contract with them and get their food and shelter from them, whether it was a servitude contract or a voluntary slavery contract. All right, I'll work your land and you provide me and my family with food, clothes, shelter. They did that, and that's how they did it in the South. It was nothing to do with money. That was I'll tell you one thing, I don't want to live that kind of lifestyle. I can't. If I have like a little garden in the back of my house, yeah, but a whole land, it's too hot for that shit. I'm from the north. I'm used to the cold weather. So that's pretty much all I have today, you guys. I will not be on tomorrow. Putting all those pieces together takes a lot of work. When I'm working on some other stuff, I have to work on that lawsuit for the individual, because we did ours. So I'm putting together the one for the individuals. I promised them that I would have it ready for them Sunday. I'll bring you in a Zoom, email it to you, and y'all get it popping, man. So that being said, I don't have anything else. Any closing statements? Or
Only thing I was gonna say, hey, I'm from the north too. I'm from Saginaw, Michigan, but I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. Whatever. I can't do the cold. I don't like the cold. So
I love the cold.
I can't do it.
I gotta have air. I gotta have air.
I need that heat. I love it. I love the heat. Like, I can't do the cold. That's why I'm in the crib all winter. But
I love the heat, but I don't like humidity. I like hot weather, but I like the dry hot. I don't like humid weather. I can't stand that. I can't stand to be somewhere where it's humid.
I agree with that. I can agree with that. I love dry heat. The dry heat is tolerable.
Hey, Sister Bethy, that's why that's why they started central air units. I love the South, but I got a central air unit. I ain't going in.
That's the shit.
You see what I'm saying? I ain't going in there with no fans and air conditioning. No, I got a unit that cools and heat my house.
That that central air. What's the light bill like though?
Not bad, because what it is, I don't have all I have is an electric bill. I have my own water source, so all I pay is electric bill. So I don't have no gas bill. No, everything is electric, so it ain't that expensive.
But I mean, your water, will you have a well or a?
Yes, ma'am. I have a well on my land.
Oh, okay. Wow. Does it ever get clogged?
I mean, every 2-3 years, you gotta do the maintenance on it. Yes, ma'am. But yeah, I have central air, central heat, everything on one floor. You know what I mean? I love it. When it get hot out there, I just stay relaxed in the house till it cool down. But we get that natural breeze from the trees. I show you my front yard. I got trees all through my front yard.
I'm surrounded by trees. I am surrounded by trees in my home.
And that gives us, the air. The air coming off the trees. But much respect, sister. I'm appreciate you letting me on. I'm also let you know I came in on my backup channel because they hit me again for 2 weeks. Yes, ma'am. Medical.
Oh, Philly. That's why I don't share videos.
Yeah, so I came up on my backup channel. If you can, please mod me up. There's always love and respect.
Okay.
And I appreciate you. I'm gonna write something in the chat for you because I'm on my backup.
Okay. What? Let me see. What is your back? Put it in the back so I can put it in the chat.
Big Dog Philly OG TV 2. Same thing. I've been typing in the chat. I'm gonna type it in the chat.
Yeah, type it in there so everybody. Y'all subscribe to Big Dog Philly OG channel.
Appreciate you, sister. Much love and respect to everybody on the panel and in the chat.
You gonna go live on that channel?
Yes, ma'am. As soon as I can. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll get myself comfortable so I go watch it. I love watching people. I really do. After I get off live, I love watching. I don't go out to clubs or nothing, but I really like watching other people's channels. I do. I be all through YouTube. TikTok, forget it. That's dangerous for me because I'm laugh all day for 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours. So Big Dog said he's gonna put his link in the chat. You driving?
Yes, ma'am, I am. I was getting ready to say I greatly, humbly appreciate you for allowing me on your panel. Always stay tuned in. Everybody, man. Wide on to everybody. Love y'all. Peace and love, man. Take care.
I appreciate you too, Choctaw. See you. And Dane, that other video that Dane did the other day was fire.
Yes, ma'am.
It was fire.
Yes, ma'am.
It really was. Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
All right, now.
All right. Take it easy. Salute the enemy public. Big Dog, you didn't write the name of the oh, there it is right there. He wrote it. I got it. This is Big Dog Philly. Oh. Big Dog Philly. Subscribe to it. Big Dog Philly OG TV2. I'm gonna do that right now so I could. Big Dog Philly. Oh, Philly OG2. There we go. I'm doing it now. Search. There you go. I'm going to do it right now. Hit the bell. And then I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go and get copy. And I'm going to put it in the chat, y'all. Here's Big Dog Philly. I'll give y'all a chance to hit this link. It'll take you right to his channel. So hit the link and subscribe, y'all. And hit the bell. There it is right there. I put it in the chat room. So I'm going to play a little music till y'all hit that link. And then I'm out of here. Thank you, y'all. Appreciate everybody. See y'all in somebody else's chat room.
So long since we've been gone. I wanna feel that summer feel, but I don't wanna go if you ain't with me. Let's make a home, be all alone. So tell me, baby, where would you like to go? Maybe we'll drive from coast to coast, only to where we love the most. I'm taking you paradise, you know where we're going tonight, paradise, paradise, I'm taking you to paradise, paradise, I don't even care about the price, yeah, paradise, paradise, I'm taking you, let's see the sun and have some fun. I'm so tired of living life in gray, babe. And you deserve to see the world. So tell me, baby, where would you like to go? Maybe we'll drive from coast to coast, only to where we love the most. I'm taking you to paradise, paradise. You know where we're going tonight, paradise, paradise, I'm taking you to paradise, paradise, I don't even care about the price, yeah, paradise, paradise, I'm taking you, come and take a seat next to me, babe, let this pretty view take take your breath away. Baby, we deserve a break from our old ways. Anywhere's home when you're with me. Come and take a seat next to me, babe. Let this pretty view take your breath away. Baby, we deserve a break from our old ways. 'Cause I'm taking you to paradise, paradise. You know where we're going tonight, going tonight. Paradise, paradise. I'm taking you to paradise, paradise. I don't even care about the price, yeah. Paradise, paradise.